Hey, thanks for tuning in to Lead, Grow, Live. This week, I'm really excited to bring you Abi Falgout. She's a LANTEC account executive. At LANTEC, they train companies and they train workers to help them evolve. She has a history of education and she taught 7th graders. And she realized whether you're in 7th grade or you're 70, some of the things that you need to work on, you should be working on throughout your life. Hey, look, I appreciate you coming into the studio.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You are an account executive, and like I mentioned that you're at LANTEC, but tell me what your role is on a day-to-day basis.
So I'm more of like a training consultant. I meet with clients. I help guide them through the process, make sure their enrollments or whatever they need is taken care of. But what I love to do, a big part of my job, is trying to find what training they actually need, whether it's a list of skills that they have feel like a deficit or could improve on, and I course match for them, or it's kind of, going back and forth and what are some opportunities you have, what are some things you're hearing from your staff, that kind of thing, and seeing what kind of connections we can make.
Do you go into a company and talk with their leadership team and do you have an assessment that you give them, or do you have this assessment when you're sitting there talking with them and trying to figure out where you can serve them and where their deficits are or whatever?
So I kind of use my background on that. I was in PR for 15 years and was a consultant. So through that, I would do I called business therapy. So when I meet with a client,
I do a little thing.
Yeah. And because it feels like after a certain point, you start with like, what are your values? What problems you solve? How do you solve it uniquely? And then it feels like at some point I'm gonna say, tell me about your childhood,
Yeah, exactly.
How do you feel about that? And you're a business owner, you get really emotional about those kinds of things. So I always called it business therapy. And so it's a little bit of that. And it's kind of really more just a conversation. A lot of times people know exactly what they need.
Yeah.
Our admin team's they are dying for more Excel training. They're good at Excel, but they want to be wizards. Who doesn't, right? We need someone, most popular thing is right now is we need someone to be a data or business analyst. So we need to train that up. But by far and wide, people need communication skills. They have young leaders that are good at their job, but are new in a leadership role, and they need the confidence to do the job. So what courses would give this person the confidence to move forward? Or they're good at these things, but this is the deficits that we can grow on.
Yeah.
Or we have a new client coming on and we don't know how to have these difficult conversations, or we see this in the future that's going to be an opportunity for us.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So LANTEC, I would like to have a really good understanding so I can send you folks, because a lot of people I meet need training in specific areas. But do you guys create the courses?
We're constantly creating courses. We've been around for almost 26 years now, over 25, so going on to our 26th year. So we started with IT, a lot of acronyms that go way over my head, but IT departments love what we do, and cybersecurity, and then grew into Microsoft certified. And so we offer all Microsoft courses. But the professional development we talked about is the fastest growing track by far.
Yeah,
and so those are constant. Not only that, but even our Microsoft course, even our application courses, AI is a new one. So we have an AI course that I've been working with our instructors, telling them what we're hearing from our clients and how we work this into AI training, developing an AI course in record speed. And then the crazy thing about AI is as soon as you deliver the course, it's almost always outdated, right?
Absolutely.
So you got to go back to those
go
principles, right?
Yeah.
But same thing with those conversations. We're constantly updating what we have. Our course list is so extensive because of that. We have some older courses that are still really relevant, and then we see a need, and so it might shift into one that is maybe a hybrid of a little bit of that and a little bit of the new. We might have a whole new overhauled course, but we have an amazing curriculum team that's constantly working with us for what we hear from the employers and what they're seeing in the classroom as well.
Yeah. So tell me more about the curriculum team, because that is very interesting to me. Do you have experts that work at LANTEC, or they're contractors that contribute, or how does that work?
Kind of a little bit of everything. So we're constantly evolving with that. But we, like I said, it's a lot of conversations between our curriculum team, who, headed by a former education experts from across the board. And so conversations with them, and like we said, what we're kind of conversations we're having with employers and what we're seeing, and just trying to stay, on top of what the trends are, what the future ready skills are that we need to develop, and the best way of doing that. We have lots of third-party partners too we work with to help develop this curriculum, give us insight that we need, whatever needs to be done. But it's a constant updating.
Oh, I mean, I can only imagine. But like you said, there are some things that are always relevant, right? Communication. I'm telling you, if I could hang a flag and say, there's one thing that I do really, really well, and this is the only thing I do.
Yeah.
God, I mean, communication is so important today. I think that little phone is messing us up a lot.
Yeah, I think it definitely is presenting some challenges. It's also presenting some opportunities, like anything, right? It's a double side to everything. Communication by far, when I sit down with anybody, they say Excel is always number one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, no matter how good you are at Excel, there's always something to grow on. Excel and a lot of, those tools that we just can't seem to master or get everyone on the same page for. But if it's not number one, it's a close number two. Communication in some aspect, whether it's a leadership team needs better tools or certain employees, just people we either see a deficit that we can improve on, or what I'm seeing a lot is that people want it for themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And the younger generation especially, they want training more than ever before. It is an incentive for them. Yeah. Whereas, back in the day, it used to be a punishment only. So
yeah, exactly. So when you meet with the leadership team, and I talk with so many business owners and entrepreneurs, the goal of the organization is how to lead your people and give them the skills and the training they need to get better. What do you see out of AI, for example, that is impacting companies? Are they trying to? I guess what I'm getting at. Are they trying to use it as a easy button, or I try to talk with people and say, look, make it a compliment, make it like your assistant, because it will help you, but it could also throw some random just craziness out too.
So we have a lot of aspects of AI that need to be addressed. First thing, most people are just using it, maybe not incorrectly, but not to its full potential, not what it could be, right? Like you said, some people are just using it as an easy button. If you're using AI just to write your emails, you're kind of missing the point. It's a good start, but it can go so much deeper than that. We teach a lot of automated workflows. It's where all those little minutia through your day can be streamlined and automated as best as possible. And then one of the challenges that we're working on now, because HR is a big part of who we work with. A lot of HR leaders are our main point of contact, and it's a big part of the training that we need it. So what do? So we see a lot of companies who want to adopt AI are realizing too that you can't get rid of it. You need to address the elephant in the room. And so how do we address it when it's changing so rapidly, when we don't know all the pitfalls? But there are some pitfalls we do know about. You got to fact check everything that comes from AI.
You have to. And
it's going to be more and more relevant because AI is just only learning from itself. So those mistakes are going to become more and more prevalent. And we just don't know. You have to know what you're looking for, really.
Yeah.
The automated aspect kind of worries me too as well, because you get to these big data sets, and then if one little thing goes wrong, then you're getting false data sent back to your team, and data is everything.
Poor decisions. Yeah, good data in, good data out.
Right.
But that's a human factor.
Right. One of the uses of AI I think is most promising is people using it as a gut check.
Yeah.
People using it as an advisor, because that advisor has little to no bias. I guess we can't eliminate bias completely across the board, but in this instance, it's as close as we can get. And so running some of our ideas and our concepts, our gut instincts through AI to fact check it against a non-biased factual source can be very beneficial, or help you see alternatives. So, PR is my background. So using it to talk about your audiences. What I find more often than not, small business owners I've worked with did not understand their audiences, did not understand who their stakeholders were, and did not understand who the publics were, the people who were influencing their audiences, how they behaved. They oversimplified their behaviors. So AI can be a huge boost for that because it's fact-based.
Yeah,
it's
no
not
doubt about it. No doubt
your
about
gut instinct, which often leads you wrong.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah.
And I think if you allow it to be a complement to your thought process, so ask it, what are the top 5 things I can do for this? And you realize, oh, wow, I didn't even think of that one. I thought of these 4,
right.
So that's the gut check kind of thing. But it often surprises me when I've tried it out that, wow, that's pretty clever. I should have done that, so now I will.
Yeah. Here's my plan. What am I missing? Kind of thing. Here's my goal. What are the steps that I can get to that? What do you suggest? That kind of thing. Yeah. This is the argument I'm having with one of my employees. Help me understand it from their perspective.
Yeah.
Things like that is really impressive.
So you and I were talking before we started shooting, and we were talking about authenticity and being present. How much do you think AI is going to injure your ability to be authentic? Because you're basically going to be just saying words that something else thought of. Is that a problem with communication or leadership?
It's a great question. And I've thought about this quite a bit because a lot of people, I think we have the AI police out now, and they're more emboldened than ever. And it's always something. These people, I feel like, are an archetype that I've seen over and over again. If it wasn't AI, it's something else. They're the gotcha people. Yeah, they want to be in the know. Yeah. It's kind of driving me nuts, I'm not gonna lie. But AI is a tool we use, and honestly, we've always stolen words from other people.
Yeah, sure.
I have not used one word. I have invented some words. They're not great. So it's mostly me hobnobbing a bunch of words together. But all of our words are stolen from someone else. Our turns of phrases are stolen from someone else. And so what's wrong with someone helping you phrase things better? I have a master's in communication. So I think communication, I'm with you, that it's one of the most important things we can possibly have. I think it's a reason why it's a big focus. Communication is everything. Yeah. And so if we can use technology to help us get what's in our head and communicate it better to other people and understand what they're saying to us, that sounds amazing to me. Yeah, I don't really see the problem.
I love that. So what are some of the things you think are most helpful for leaders to lead their people? Some of the training either that the leader gets or training that they get their workforce to get from LANTEC? So,
I'm a former business owner for a long, long time. And so something I've thought about quite a bit on what kind of skills I needed as a business owner, as an employer. And then it was interesting because I was when the pandemic hit, I was the executive director of an educational nonprofit. And so it was kind of bringing in a bunch of stuff that my past, kind of bringing it together, and loved the work there. But when we merged that through the pandemic, it was the right thing to do. So successfully merged it within a bigger nonprofit. I decided I was going to leave what I thought was a dysfunctional corporate world and go into education. Joke's on me. Education's way more dysfunctional than the corporate world. But I really just wanted to go read books with middle schoolers. So I did that for a couple years. But that was one of, being a classroom teacher was probably one of the most pivotal, one of the best trainings I ever had as a leader and an entrepreneur. It's funny, I guess it would have been lost on me if I would have started my career that way. But there were so many things that became crystal clear to me, helping nurture those 7th graders, helping them communicate, helping them accomplish their goals, and just becoming better people all around. I realized we don't really grow out of that we're kind of universally the same from childhood through adulthood. We want the same things. Our language might change, or motivating factors might change a little bit. But ultimately, we're driven by the same thing, and no one's above a sticker. I learned that too. Everyone's excited about a sticker.
Yeah, they
or a
pat
little
on
something,
the back, or
right?
something.
Yeah, a little something. Some of those things have really stuck out to me, and so empathy, it was one of the biggest things. And I've always prided myself with the empathy that I have and leading with empathy. But the emotional intelligence aspect and empathy were the two biggest things that stood out to me. And as a matter of fact, it's interesting because in K-12, that's the big initiative. So getting emotional intelligence education, social emotional learning in the classroom, that has been a game changer for a lot of these kids struggling academically. A lot of kids that we're losing throughout the school system. And it's a game changer for teachers too, and everybody in education. And then so stepping back out and coming back into corporate world, I mean, we still struggle with social emotional learning.
Yeah, for sure.
Adults don't know how to control their emotions. They don't know how to name their emotions. And even the ones of us that do, there's always room for growth. And the more I see people improve on their social emotional learning, their emotional intelligence goes up, the more powerful they become, the more connected, the more empathetic they are, the more authentic they become, and everything just starts to unlock from that point on. Yeah. So if anything, that's been something I've been pushing with a lot of my clients when they have, I have a team of warehouse workers and we can't get them to show up on time. We can't get them to do this. We can't get them to do that. And we keep giving them training and they're not listening. Let's say, hey, let's start with the emotional intelligence class. And then let's lead them in with maybe the same instructor too, and do a series of things where we're leading them into other learning. But we establish that trust and that kind of foundation. It seems to be working pretty well. So
yeah, that's huge. I'm gonna do a delayed
yes, got one
aha moment. But what I take away from you going into the classroom and then working with middle schoolers, seventh graders, and then bringing that out and working with adults, understanding that you don't really grow out of these things.
You get worse sometimes.
Yeah, you could get worse, right? And so, like communication, emotional IQ or EQ or whatever we call it, it's always a factor. And if it's not dealt with and developed and grown, you take it on personally, you're going to be a dysfunctional worker. Right. Or dysfunctional leader.
Absolutely.
And that is genius.
I saw something the other day, and this is kind of how I navigate my entire life. And I think this has been one of the biggest game changers for me. And to simplify the research behind it is that the difference between unlucky people, moderately lucky people, and lucky people is that the unlucky people, everything is personal. Everything happens to them, and they have no control over their life. Yeah. Right. So they're just kind of going through life and then things happen. So they're either lucky or unlucky. Come to find out they're unlucky. And then the difference between people who are lucky is that things aren't personal. The world is a big, beautiful place and they're part of it. And they're also have a positive outlook. They're excited just to be a part of it. And whatever comes their way, they know they have control over their world. So it's kind of those one, two. And then the people in between are some kind of mixture in between.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's all it is. It's really your perspective changes really, so much about your world.
So many companies that I've worked with, I just say we have to test for negativity, right? And just because if you have a big negative workforce, what is it? Bad apple spoils a bunch. Oof. But from a negativity or positivity, optimism, it's a big deal out there. And so do y'all have training courses on optimistic, positive outlooks?
We have a lot of stuff that I would code as that, even though it may not be in the title. But leading, we have an empathy class for leaders specifically. And it's actually, now the name's going to slip, even though I see that name 24 hours a day, right? But it's something about increasing productivity with empathy. Which I thought was I love that. When I saw that title, I kind of got the chills because that's it, and that's what leaders need to do is like eliminate the roadblocks, listen, be an active listener. That's another class. That'd be great. Yeah. Be an active listener and then be a servant leader and, open up the doors for the people that you've hired for that. But the negativity aspect of things, I think training in itself, and especially self-selected training where there's buy-in. So I've been working with a couple clients now that we do grants. We do a state grant program to cover a significant cost of the training. And this was a challenge to work in. What they wanted was a self-select menu for their employees to use as an incentive. Yep. This money's there from the state to fund it. And so they're using it as an incentive for their employees. Take advantage of it. And then I work with the employees either individually or in a group setting to help design their training plan for the year. And so it's super rewarding. But the change that happens in some of those negative people that you've seen is almost night and day. Oh, yeah. When they get to have autonomy over how they participate in the workplace, and especially in training, and they feel like someone's investing in them and they have some control over those things, it really starts to change their attitude. And I still think, I call it the bell curve of humanity. No matter what, you're going to have, a couple really rock star employees. You're going to have a couple people lagging behind. As long as your average it falls in the bell curve, you're doing great. And the same thing with emotional intelligence and negativity as well too. But you're right. A couple of those negative Nancys I feel bad for Nancys that they get lumped into that. But
what about Karens?
Yeah.
Well, that's so interesting, but because we're all just people. Right. You know what I mean? Everybody is doing something, and people are our customers. People are our team members, our leaders. And we as business owners and entrepreneurs, we're people too, and we fall in that category. So we need to develop and grow and continue training, or whatever is required.
You stop learning, you stop living.
Hey, look.
That's it.
Now the one. We
Already
went
ran it
all
through.
the way around. You stop learning, you stop living.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 100% right.
Yeah.
Is getting into life, right?
Mm-hmm.
We lead people, grow companies, and live lives. I want to know why or when or how it happened where you've said, all right, I'm in the PR world. I kind of, the world went a little bit crazy, and I want to go into the classroom. How'd you go from PR to LANTEC training and things
It's
like
worse
that?
than that. If you'd see my resume,
No,
it's insane.
Yeah.
It's silly, honestly. It's absolutely ridiculous. I owned a restaurant at one point.
Oh, wow.
Bread and Circus Provisions. So opened that. So I was in the restaurant. I did PR in the restaurant industry and worked in lots of industries. I'm an insatiable learner. I'm unbelievably curious. And so that's why I love PR.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I love corporate training too. I love getting to know everything about every industry out there and each unique individual company to how their systems work, all that. It's just endlessly fascinating for me. But it gets me in trouble a lot. So that's how I got into one thing after another, and hopped around quite a bit in different industries.
So it's the curiosity.
It killed the
and then
cat.
when you figure stuff out, you have to move.
Gotta do it.
All right.
Gotta do it. I would say that my approach to everything has been pretty consistent.
Yeah.
It's a communication approach.
Yep.
Connecting people, connecting opportunities, seeing connections and patterns that people can't see. That has been the consistent thing in everything I've done. And I still do that with corporate training. So talking to people, they say, well, we need this, and this training. And then through a conversation too, they may say, we're really struggling with this. Or I'll ask them a lot of times, where does your processes slow down? Where does it start frustrating you? Oh man, this here, and then also this, and and you start kind of connecting the dots and pulling up some truths that were just sitting right on the surface.
Yeah.
And that always excites me.
It's funny too how we end up somewhere and then we take a look back.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it makes sense.
Hasn't everything made sense to get you here where you are right now?
Yeah. And I've kind of always been just like a yes person. So
really?
when an opportunity presents itself, I take calculated risk, but it doesn't seem like it on the outside.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And I kind of like to, if a wave comes along my way, I'll ride it for a while and see where it goes. And so that's presented some really interesting opportunities for me.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm constantly calculated in my head, but I'm open to like weird ideas and crazy opportunities and just seeing where things go. So
yeah, I love that. I love that. So what's next for you? I know with LANTEC, what's next and who are you going after and who do you want to help?
There are grant programs in Louisiana that companies don't know about. They've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And so my whole mission is to try to get that information out as much as possible. There's grant programs for companies under 50 employees. You can have one employee. Mm-hmm. If you pay UI taxes for 3 years, there's grant money available.
Yeah.
And for the small businesses, any employee, a W-2 employee for a company that's been paying UI taxes for at least 36 months, they get $3,000 a year for training. And it's a drawdown program.
They use it or lose it.
Use it or lose it. And so every fiscal year, it starts over. And so for these small businesses, it's a game changer.
Yeah, sure.
That's a line item when you're trying to recruit. You can say $3,000 in training available to you.
Yep.
And then we'll help you get the grant money to cover at least 90% typically is what it covers. It's a little out of pocket, but pretty insignificant in the grand scheme of things. And then above 50 employees, up to unlimited amount, there's $25 million of each year available to companies. And historically speaking, we've spent about 12 to 13 every year. So there's a lot that sits on the table, and this is UI taxes. So this is money you've already paid in. It's just getting some of that money back. And companies just don't know about it. And the ones that do know about it, I think, are intimidated by the process, or what I see most often, which is really unfortunate, especially in the larger companies in Louisiana and not just Louisiana, across the country. Employees are so overloaded. So oftentimes it's a champion internally that wants to see it happen. So either someone who's really passionate about it, or it's coming from the top down, which I love as well. But HR teams or people trying to do training, they know they need it, they want it, but they are so overwhelmed with every other little thing.
Doing what they do.
Yeah, the inertia of all day, every day, kind of like piling on. And they're usually doing 2 or 3 jobs, not just one anymore, right? Everyone's stretched thin.
Yeah.
And so I think that stops them from pursuing it. And I get that feeling, it's like I can't even entertain that idea. But, we have a grant writer on staff. We help make it as streamlined as possible. That's what I really pride LANTEC on, is that we make the customer experience as good as possible. More often than not, unless there's some difficult, extenuating circumstance, everyone's really pleasantly surprised with how easy it was that they were able to access the funds and then get the training for their employees that they need it.
Yeah, that's
win-win.
Yeah, it is a win-win. That's huge.
Yeah, it's not a feel bad job at all. It's feel good all the way through for sure.
Yeah, that's great. So what's been your biggest lesson learned since you've gotten to you're working with companies, you're working with business owners? What's the biggest thing that you've learned, either a surprise or that you were unaware of, or something that really took you by surprise?
So one of the things that I poured myself into recently was looking at future ready skills. Something, and I wish I remember the statistic because it was so crazy. By like 2035, basically all the skills we have will be outdated. We're at that point where we can't really predict what's going to be needed. Yeah. And there's already new roles, new jobs that didn't exist yesterday that are coming online every day, every minute, and skills that are needed for those.
So let me, just so I can make sure that everybody, including me, understand this. We have a factory that builds cars, right? And they've gotten to a point where either robotics or automation or something has made their skill set irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
That's what's happening so fast. By 2035, you're saying that a certain percentage of our workforces, the skills they have today are not going to be relevant tomorrow.
Or complete. I think how I interpret it is that it will be, in a sense, a Wild West, where I think there's going to be a lot of overlap. I think there's some common skills that will be threaded throughout, but we're not preparing people fast enough for what's happening.
Well, and I get it. And so doing the basic training and certain skill related.
We're still trying to plug up holes in the boat, and we need to be building a whole new boat.
Another one. There you go. It is 100% true, because I care about that a lot with the work I do with companies. And to think that the people that they have right now, either because of robotics, automation, AI, are there any other factors?
So I think it's interesting when you look at the future ready skills that are the top ones, there are some patterns that I saw that really stuck out to me. Data literacy is going to be top of the list. And I saw this in K-12, that we are desperately trying to catch up on making people science literate. People are overwhelmingly science illiterate, and it's horribly bad. It's really bad. People don't understand what they're looking at. They don't understand how to interpret the data. And they especially don't know how to get into large data sets and understand what that's saying. But basically, this misinterpretation of data and scientific evidence is a real problem. So that's already something we knew we were struggling, we're behind with. Amazing. But now data is going to be more important on every role. Every single role is going to need it. It's no longer just the CFO and CEO that are looking at these data and making decisions. We want everybody to have that entrepreneurial mindset, because the reality is we're going to need people looking at large data sets and making decisions multiple times a day. It can't go through the channels we had before. It's too slow. Yeah. So that's going to be a big game changer. We need to empower people to make those decisions on their own. We need systems to support them for that. But the other thing that was most interesting was the emotional intelligence. And it's not just simply the stress management, time management aspect of that. That's a big important part of it, right? So do I understand that I have control over my emotions and how I display them, and I have responsibility for my actions, even though my emotions happen to me, right? But how have I thought about how I come across to people? Can I take myself out of a situation whenever it's heated? Can I navigate difficult conversations? Those kinds of things. But on top of that, can I work in an ambiguous environment? Can I be given an ambiguous goal and still work towards it? Yeah. Can I be adaptable? Adaptability is going to be one of the biggest things. So we've been training people for certain jobs. As you talk about a car factory, a guy working on the line, manufacturing cars, and he's got this one skill, right? And he's been trained doing one skill. And maybe let's say he's a welder, which is a hot in-demand skill, right? So he's a welder. He's been doing this for 20 something years. Well, now even he's going to need to learn other skills and be adaptable. And he's going to need to change and pivot within a moment's notice,
Yep.
right? For a multitude of reasons. Or he's going to need to know how to work with technology. That's something he's never done before. And so it's really not about the skills as much as it's about training people to be adaptable, to be lifelong learners, to constantly evolve, because we can't keep up with the skills as they come out.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little job security too.
Yeah, for sure. For me. Yeah. We're not going to lose that need for sure.
What I love that you're doing is helping leaders and companies develop and grow their people,
Mm-hmm.
and allowing them to really take charge of their training schedule. And like when you sit down and work that, I think that ownership helps them, it gets them more engaged, and they'll work through it, they'll finish through it, and then sharing the information about how we can get you some grants and
Right.
help you get support to do what you need to do. So one of the keys, I guess, is going to be ensuring that we have time to train, and carving,
That's a brick wall I run
carving
into
out time.
every day.
Yeah,
all day.
and I do too. But to me, the only way to generate time, create time, is
Mm-hmm.
through efficiency.
Absolutely.
Let's become more efficient so we can do what we know what we need to do,
Mm-hmm.
or what we want to do, from
Yeah.
a leadership perspective. Well, this has been unbelievable. Is there anything I haven't asked you that I think, I got to make this point? Anything
No,
out there?
man, I can do this all day though. There's,
Yeah, it
I'm
looks
sure there's
like
some
it.
other stuff there, but
Yeah.
we covered the basics for sure.
Well, anyway, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks again for tuning in to Lead, Grow, Live. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you read the show notes, you're going to learn more about Abi and how you can get in touch with her. If you or somebody you know would like to be a guest on our show, I'd like you to reach out to me, and let's get you on the show so you can help other entrepreneurs lead their people, grow their companies, and live their lives.